Welcome back to Comfort and Joy, a Carol a Day Advent devotional with me, Richard Brash. How would you sum up the good news of Christmas as simply as possible? I've sometimes given friends a copy of Vaughan Roberts' booklet, Christmas in 3 Words. According to Vaughan, Christmas is historical, joyful, and essential. That's a great start, but you do need a few more words to unpack those 3 adjectives. The Old Testament prophet Isaiah preached the gospel for his day in just 3 words. Your God reigns. For Isaiah, the good news is precisely this. Israel's God reigns. He's the King of glory, the King of creation, the great Redeemer King, and he sits on his throne. Preached 7 centuries before the coming of Christ, Isaiah's gospel is one of hope to come. It contains the seeds of future fulfillment. Of course, God always reigned over his world, but before Israel's God could be enthroned in the praises of his people, the Israelites had to walk the dark and lonely path into exile. Her earthly kings, the successors of King David, would be deposed and cut off. Israel's destiny, to be a blessing to all the peoples of the earth, would be put on hold. For 5 centuries, Israel awaited the coming of a new anointed one, a Messiah, who would sit on David's throne, and whose kingdom would never end. In the ancient world, the king embodied the nation. Just so, this Messiah would in fact be the new Israel, God's own servant, God's own son, and would fulfill all the promises and prophecies given to God's people in the Old Testament. At Christmas, Israel's king was born. Now, the first Noel is an early modern English carol with possible roots back in the Middle Ages. Noel comes from the French Noël, which signifies Christmas from a Latin root meaning of birth. At Christmas, Jesus was born. He was Noelled. Unlike yesterday's carol, Mary Did You Know, which focuses on the divinity of Christ and on his saving mission, the first Noel is primarily concerned with Jesus' royal status. He's the king, sought after and worshipped by the wise men. And above all, in the carol's refrain, he's the King of Israel. How do we communicate the birth of such a king in our contexts today? The idea carries different meanings for people in different places. In Great Britain, we're perhaps a little bit more used to the idea of reigning royalty. In the United States, a nation was defined precisely by its rejection of royal authority. In Japan, where I live, the emperor is, today at least, just a figurehead, yet he remains somewhat shrouded in lofty mystery. None of these ideas of kingship is quite like the biblical one. For Israel's king is also Israel's God. Further, he's the creator and lord of the ends of the earth. His power is ultimate, his authority is unquestioned. It's important to remember that the gospel message, Your God reigns, is double-edged. The same goes for the proclamation, Born is the King of Israel. You see, if you're a faithful Israelite, an Israelite indeed, like Nathanael in John 1, it's great news for sure. Look at how Nathanael responded when he met Jesus. He exclaimed with wonder and joy, Rabbi, you're the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. But if you are an enemy of the true King of Israel, a usurper even, the news of his birth could hardly be worse. Think of King Herod, in every sense a false Israelite. When he heard of the birth of the King of the Jews, he was troubled, Matthew says, and all Jerusalem with him. His first thought was to try to murder the newborn king. You see, the birth of a king divides. It all depends whose side you're on. Actually, that's why the usual translation of the Greek word evangelion as gospel or good news is okay, but it's only part of the story. The word was used to mean the report of victory in a battle. Again, that's great news if you're on the winning side. But it might be disastrous news if you're not, unless you can sue for peace, or the victor is merciful. And the same is true of the birth of King Jesus. The Apostle Paul says that if we are made new creations by Jesus Christ when we trust in him, we become members of the Israel of God. Jesus, the King of Israel, is our King. His birth is really good news because he's the one who wins the victory for us. Gospel. But not everyone rejoices at the birth of the King of Israel. Our gospel hope is that this King is one who by his amazing grace and his mighty salvation, can make his enemies his friends, just as he's done for us if we've trusted in him, that they too might look back at his birth and rejoice. He's done that for you and me if we've believed in his death and resurrection. Let's pray that he may do the same for countless others in our world. Born is the King of Israel.